social housing rents, apparently, they're going to go up by more than inflation. This is a government's plan to try and boost affordable house building, improve services and so on and so forth. Good idea, Matt?
I'm very worried about the state of housing in the UK. I mean, we aren't really getting close to having a mature conversation about the housing crisis facing this country, and I don't really think that this is going to solve it. We talk a lot about supply in this country, about trying to fiddle planning rules, regulations to try and free up more space to build homes. We're not talking about demand. We built about 170,000 homes last year in England and Wales. We need to build somewhere between 500 and 600,000 homes every year just to keep up with the pressures from migration, which is now the biggest driver of our population. And in social housing, I mean, brutal reality is a lot of Brits are getting pushed out of social housing by people who have arrived in the country more recently. So I'm very cynical about Labour's positioning on the housing. I don't feel like we're having a mature debate about it, a grown-up debate about it. And I'm worried for British kids and young British families and how they're going to get on the housing ladder if we don't build more homes and get control of the demand pressures that we've got.
Sorry?
I was reading this piece and it's interesting because obviously any suggestion that rent is going to go up for anyone in social housing in the private rented sector is going to be really alarming. We already know that it's incredibly expensive to live in the UK at the minute, in part due to, well, mostly due to the fact that we don't have enough houses in this country. What is interesting about this is one of the reasons that the government is planning to increase rent in line with social rent in line with inflation is in order to generate more revenue for local councils and housing associations so they can build more of that housing and so they can put more money back in those councils. And I think really this is an example of Labour, as they said they would, having to make those difficult decisions in order to basically fix the problems that have occurred as a result of 14 years of Conservative neglect. They have starved councils, they've starved housing supply in this country, and now Labour is having to do these things that are really not going to be very popular, they're not going to make people very happy, it's going to be more pain for people. Ultimately, hopefully, will result in more money for councils and more housing. But it's going to be a long, painful journey. We're going to feel the legacy of the Conservatives' failures.
It's going to be a never-ending journey because I mean, not to come back to the point that we've just discussed, but if you're running forevermore net migration rates of 500,000 plus, you're never going to fix this problem ever. We're going to be here in 10 years' time, looking 10 years older, and you're going to be saying we need to build more homes, and it will just go on and on and on. So what's facing Western states is what they call a population trap, and that's what we're in now. So the capacity of the state to provide basic services for people is now being exceeded by the pace of population growth, right? So we're in a trap. We're in a never-ending. It's like a hamster wheel. We build more homes, we have more people. We build more homes, we have more people. Those people get older, we need more hospital beds. We need more social support. We need more NHS. We need more people. And round it goes because nobody is actually making the really brave decision, to go back to your point about Labour, which is we need to fundamentally get off this hamster wheel. We need to change the settlement.
I mean, I think it's very easy to just blame migration for all the problems in this country. But the reality is that the government have completely failed to build enough houses. Right to buy meant we completely depleted our social housing stock. We never were able to rebuild on that. 90% of lead tenants in social housing in the UK are UK-born. It's not the case that people are coming and just taking all the social housing. It's simply not true.
In fairness, I didn't quite say that.
No, but you are saying that it's immigration is to blame for the housing shortage.
I'm saying you can have available and affordable housing, or you can have mass immigration. You can't have both.
Well, but I would argue that, I mean, we can go back to our original argument, which is that this country does fundamentally need migration. We have an ageing population.
But not 700,000.
We have a declining birth rate. We have vacancies in our health and social care sector. We have vacancies in our hospitality sector. We need people to come here and to help contribute to the economy.
We
need to house them. And at present, we don't have enough housing.
We could also make different choices. I mean, we don't have to be running net migration at 700,000 a year. We don't have to be losing control of our borders. We don't have to be ignoring issues like family policy or encouraging people to have more children or building.
As I said before, it's totally reasonable to have conversations about what migration policy that works for the country should look like.
So for example,
but to act as if all these problems would be solved if we just lowered migration.
No, I don't think anybody's saying that. What I'm saying is, with this debate over housing, we talk a lot about planning, we talk a lot about regulation, we We talk a lot about
which are all
social housing.
issues.
Absolutely, we need to build more homes. Don't have an issue with that. But if you're building more homes and you're not dealing with the underlying demand, you're just going to have to keep on building more and more homes, most likely on the Greenbelt, most likely in lots of areas that basically, define who we are, that people like. So until somebody can get real with the British people about the demand side of this problem, which is we've got 6.5 million people coming into this country in the next 10 years. That's the government's own forecast, 6.5 million people coming in. That is basically 70% of London. OK, so where are those people going to go? Because at the moment, we are still playing catch-up for the demand of the last 10 years. So can someone in government come out and say, here's our plan for the 6.5 million who are coming in between now and 2036. This is where they're going to go. Because I don't think allowing people to build loft extensions or building on brownfield sites or whatever is going to come close to dealing with that issue.
You say as well that yes, we can talk about immigration, and all we ever do is talk about immigration. But I would say that actually it's becoming increasingly difficult to raise your concerns about the absolute lack of control about immigration. I remember very recently protests outside what people thought, they were wrong, but what people thought was the actual working office of Reform UK. You had 4 million people that finally had a party that they felt would perhaps, follow through on promises to control immigration. What happens? You have a protest practically outside their door, wrong door, but you get the point, saying that the people, the party, essentially the people that vote for them, are some kind of fascist neo-Nazis. So I would argue that you can't have sensible, controlled immigration conversations anymore without being branded far-right, racist, and God only knows what else.
But doesn't the Labour government wants to bring legal immigration down? They've said that. They don't have a number. They don't have a figure.
But every government's always said that and they don't do it.
Well, OK, I mean, but when you say...
this is the point.
When you say every government, I mean, the Conservatives absolutely presided over far higher levels of immigration than we'd seen before, in part because there were mass vacancies in our health and social care sector and because they wanted, as Matt pointed out, there was a need for it in the labour market. Now we have a government who is putting forward how they want to get a grip on the immigration issue. They are talking to, I think it's the Migration Observatory, about the kind of number they might come up with. I don't think they've put a number on it yet. But I don't think it's right to say we're not talking about immigration.
Well, we'll talk about it, but will anyone listen? And can we still talk about it without getting branded?